right, what's good, guys?
How's it going?
Not too bad. Welcome to another edition of Casual Talk. I am Fight Night Kelvin. This is Michael, and we have a special guest today.
Hello, I am Mark Anthony Ojeda.
Hell yeah.
You should introduce yourself. So, who are you?
I'm a buddy of Mike's. We go back. We used to work
way
together.
back.
Well,
A couple
I
years
wouldn't say
back.
way back.
Yes. So we go back for like a couple years. The reason why we brought him on is because he's been watching MMA for such a long time that we feel like it'd be good to add a third person.
Yeah,
with
absolutely.
His knowledge on MMA. So
And we got a big card this weekend, too.
big card.
Why don't you tell us a little bit, though, about like maybe your relationship with MMA, like how you got into it and all that kind of stuff.
I don't know, man. Like I just remember, like growing up, I was always watching like boxing. Parents were always getting the pay-per-views, and I remember I just got bored of boxing.
Yeah.
You know, I wanted to see something a little different, and I remember watching. It was I think the first Ultimate Fighter event.
Oh, sick. Okay.
On it was on Spike.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
It was Forrest Griffin and Stephen Bonner.
You saw that.
Yeah, I saw it on
Nice.
TV.
Wow.
And I thought like, man, this is it. This is
That's
the shit.
wow. That's incredible. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
What was your first MMA fight that you've ever saw?
It was that. It
That
was
one?
It was the Forrest Griffin.
Stephen Bonner.
Was that the one? The finale of the Ultimate Fighter.
Yeah.
I think that's the fight that put the UFC
That's
on
what a
the
lot
map.
of people say.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of people say that fight like brought a lot of people in.
Yes.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure. I think it's the first fight that was ever inducted into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah.
Yeah. Big fight.
Cool, man.
But anyway, speaking of big fights, a lot of big fights this weekend.
Definitely.
Right. So where do you want to get in? What do you want to dive into first?
Well, let's just get right into 244.
You want to get right into
yeah.
it?
Yeah.
All right. So I guess you want to go from main card, then down below, or down below and then up to the main card.
Yeah. Let's talk about it all. We can go. Let's go top to bottom, just because it's probably be easier for
Right.
fights that all three of us want to talk
Okay.
about.
So then the main event,
Oh my God.
Masvidal, Nate Diaz.
Yes.
So where do we go with this?
Holy shit. Yeah. So this fight, personally, I feel like, I mean, it's kind of a cop out, but I feel like this fight can go either way.
Mhm.
But the way that I see it is, I feel like in the first 3 rounds, like rounds 1 through 3, Jorge is going to be very, very dangerous.
Oh, he's
You know?
going to put the pressure on Nate
Yeah,
Diaz. I can see it.
I think one of the biggest things that I've taken away from this run that Jorge Masvidal is on is that he says that he got tired of losing all these split decisions. So he realized he's like, I just need to put people away. So we know for a fact that he's coming in to look for the off button,
Yeah.
right? However, Nate Diaz is an absolute cardio machine, a pressure machine, and has not been knocked out since 2008, I want to say, or 2006, something like that.
Mhm.
Oh no, maybe a little bit later than that. But the point is, it's been a while, right?
Mhm.
So in my opinion, rounds 1 through 3 favor Jorge Masvidal, and rounds like 3 through 5 favor Nate Diaz.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this fight starts.
Yeah.
Yeah, is Nate going to be a little bit more calculated and just
Mhm.
see what he's bringing?
Mm-hmm.
Or is Jorge going to come off right at the bat, try to throw a knee?
You
You know,
right?
Can you
Yeah.
imagine if he comes off the fight throwing a knee against
Right?
Nate Diaz?
Well, we know Nate Diaz isn't
He's
shooting.
not that stupid.
No,
No.
he's not going to shoot either.
Yeah, this fight, it's very interesting to see how it goes. There's no question it's gonna be a dog fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think these two guys are gonna bring it.
Oh yes.
It's definitely gonna be scrappy.
Yeah.
But like you said, Masvidal, like he's very good. He's a great striker.
Yeah,
you know,
for
and
sure.
the thing that he does differently than Nate is that he kicks a lot more than Nate
Yes.
does. And Nate Diaz is I think he's gonna drag the fight out.
Yeah, and
Definitely,
he
he's
tended-
gonna
he-
take
yeah.
it into deep waters.
Yes.
He definitely tends to do that in the last couple fights, which is his bread and butter.
Yeah.
I feel like. Personally, I'm favoring Nate Diaz on this one.
Yeah.
I really feel like
I can't favor anybody on this fight.
I know it's hard.
I'm
Well,
going for
as
the
a
West
betting
Coast
man.
gangster,
Me
right?
too. Me too.
But if I had to put money on it, I would have to go with Masvidal.
I feel like if Masvidal doesn't do anything special right off the bat, I think as the rounds go later in the fight, I think it will favor towards Nate Diaz.
yeah.
So if I was a betting man,
Mhm.
because I don't know what the odds are on this fight, but if I was a betting man,
Yeah.
I'd put my money on Diaz.
The thing that I look at though is that like, so I just mentioned that thing about Jorge not wanting to go to decision anymore and
Mhm.
wanting to put
Right.
people out. He's done that in his last 2 fights, and he only had 3 rounds to work.
Mm-hmm.
He has an extra 2 rounds to try to
Right,
put
because
somebody
this
away.
is a 5-round fight, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But the thing is, we all know he's gonna have to catch him clean, because
Mhm.
if he wants to tire him out and make him get sloppy and then hit him when he's sloppy and tired, that's not going to happen because Nate Diaz isn't going to get tired.
Yeah. So who you lean on?
Oh man, it's rough. It's rough. I mean,
you gotta pick one.
I know if I absolutely have to pick somebody, I'm leaning towards Masvidal.
Okay.
Yeah. If I absolutely have to.
I couldn't disagree on who would
right
because it's these guys match up really well.
Yeah.
It's hard to really say, oh, this guy's easily the favorite or this guy. You know, if I had to look at the odds, it's pretty close. I feel like if I were to just look at it, but no. I want to ask you guys, what do you think about this whole BMF thing? This title that they're making, because I hope Dana White shows it here in the next couple of days.
Yeah, he should.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it's a really cool concept, but there was something that Ariel Helwani said about like it should have been something that the fighters did, not necessarily that the promotion should have jumped on it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Kind of like I think he like made it close to like kind of like a WWE thing.
Yeah.
But I think it's pretty awesome. I think they're only gonna fight for it once.
Yes, like, just one time. It's a one time.
I kind of wish that it was a multiple thing.
It would be cool
going on
because there's a lot of fighters you'd put in there, right? Like bad motherfuckers.
Yeah.
Has the UFC ever done something like this before?
No. I don't think so. No.
This is the first time that they ever done something like this. Interesting.
And it's fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely. But if that title can be passed around,
right?
You know, and not just in one weight class either. Like, let's put it in other weight classes too. Like, it doesn't even have to be like an actual belt or anything. Just like give the title to someone,
right?
In each weight class.
Could you imagine? Could you imagine if to take it to another weight class you had to fight for it though? Like imagine like
that's what I was
imagine because right now it's being fought at welterweight, right?
Right.
Yeah.
What if like somebody like lightweight's like I want that belt, so they go up to 170 and fight for it, but then they defend it at 155.
Right. It's interesting.
That would be
interesting. Now we're getting now we're opening a can of worms.
And then I think about it too. Like, okay, if it's something that's defended multiple times, does that then devalue the championship belt itself?
I think logically speaking, it has to.
Yeah.
Because then guys are like, well, I don't want this fucking belt. I want what people are talking about. This BMF belt makes me the badass.
Yeah.
And I mean, right? Like, does that devalue?
It's the title.
I know.
Look at a guy like Corey Anderson, for example, right? So Corey Anderson came out recently and said that the UFC straight up told him the needle doesn't move on you enough to put you in like title fights or big fights.
Yeah.
Right? For a guy like that, like Corey Anderson, who's like, all right, well, obviously it's going to be a while before they give me a title shot.
Right.
If we continue to go on with like this BMF belt though, what's to stop somebody from being like, well, I'm not going to get a title shot anytime soon, so fuck it, I'm campaigning for the BMF belt instead.
Yeah.
You know?
It's interesting to see where this goes.
But it has to be a bad motherfucking fight though.
It does.
You know, it can't just be like, you know, Damian Maya, you know, fighting for the BMF
and Ben Askren. Come on, UFC.
Damian Maya's a bad motherfucker in his own right. In his own right.
Yeah,
but not what we're talking about. Yeah.
That's interesting because like to segue really quickly on something else we're gonna talk about. Connor mentioned that he wanted to fight for the winner of that BMF title, and I'm like, I don't know if the UFC is gonna have another matchup over this title.
No, I mean Dana White pretty clearly said that there won't be another one. But if it's Connor who's asking for it,
who knows? I mean, we don't know. We'll talk about that later, but I think that's our final thoughts on Masvidal and Nate Diaz. We were so worried because this fight sounded like it might be called off this drug test.
And me being the cynical person I am, I was sure it was off.
Bro,
I was like,
it's over. And I was like, in my mind, I was like, dude, there's nothing from Dana White, nothing from UFC. Like, just hold on. And I started reading to Twitter, and I'm like, fuck, it's going to be called off. And then you threw in Leon Edwards, and I got so mad at you.
Oh, yes, you did.
So mad at you.
Shout out Leon Edwards.
I've never been mad at Kelvin in my life. And that one point, he told me something, Leon Edwards, the next guy. I was like, fuck no, not Leon Edwards. I mean, what do you think?
Here's what made him upset, though. I said Leon Edwards.
It makes sense.
I was like, Leon Edwards. I was like, makes sense.
Yes.
He's going to get the fight, and he's going to be Jorge Masvidal.
So I could not disagree with you more there. But no, so logically that makes sense, right? He's the next guy up for that slot.
Right.
But I just felt like the magnitude of this fight in this card in
100%.
Or not Masvidal. Madison Square Garden.
Yes.
I don't think Leon Edwards is a guy you put in to cover Nate Diaz.
No. You're right.
This is true because it's a main event.
It's a main event and a big card.
Would they, if that would have happened, would they have changed the main event then? Would they?
So that was So like, that's another argument. Is Darren Till and Kevin Gastelum a main event for that? Like, could you see that?
Yeah, so we were discussing that also.
Right.
And here's another reason why I told Michael. I was like, I understand what you mean about, like, the magnitude, and that Leon Edwards, I mean, for whatever argument you want to put up, isn't quite there yet.
Mm-hmm.
But I told him, I was like, if Leon Edwards is ready to go 5 rounds, I don't give a fuck, dude. Put him in there. We're going to have a 5-round main event.
I would be so
because
pissed.
I told him, I was like, what I do not want to happen is they look at Leon, they think that, you know, not enough people are interested in watching him fight. So they were going to make him, like, they were going to switch Jorge Masvidal and Leon Edwards to be a 3-round co-main, and have Darren Till and Kelvin Gastelum be a 3-round main event. And I told him, I was like, I do not like 3-round main events.
Well, but we're also banking on the fact that Masvidal will want to fight Edwards.
Yeah.
Because doesn't, like, so let's say Nate Diaz pulls out. Doesn't Masvidal say, okay, I don't want to fight this guy. I'm not going to fight?
I mean, he could.
Because I feel like that's happened before, right?
Because a big deal with this is how much money these two dudes are going to get from this fight.
Yeah.
And if he thinks to himself, not only do I not want to fight Leon Edwards, but I'm going to get paid less to do so, he might have said,
right.
Fuck it.
You know, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So that's when I threw out the name Conor.
Right.
Because I think Conor is obviously a big name. He can fill that void of that magnitude. But thankfully, this whole fiasco ended, and now Nate Diaz is for sure. That must have been the scariest thing for me and you for sure.
Yeah.
Everybody's on screen.
How fitting, though, for the bad motherfucker belt that Nate Diaz beat USADA in 24 hours.
That's crazy, bro.
He said, fuck you, USADA.
Yeah.
Give me what I want.
That's
and they
crazy.
were like, okay.
That says a lot about the UFC's feeling on Diaz now.
Yeah. He's a
now
needle mover.
Yeah. And now you listen to what he says, or you piss off a lot of people.
He did.
You know, because a lot of people are interested in Nate Diaz.
It's funny that you bring that up, because I was reading an article about Dustin Poirier talking about why he pulled out of the fight with Nate. How long ago was that?
It was in November of last year.
Yeah. And what he was saying was that Nate couldn't agree with terms on the fight.
Yep. So Nate Diaz said something about this on his interview.
Yeah.
He said that he didn't want to be a co-main event when the main event was 2 girls at 145 or 135
I think.
Fighting.
I'm assuming that's right.
That's what he said.
If you remember, there was rumors that they were trying to headline that card with Shevchenko versus I.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And then they moved him down to co-main. And then he was like, well, the reason why I did the Anaheim card was because, okay, it's Stipe and DC. I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
He was like, but I'm not
Anthony
cool with
Pettis.
2. Yeah. He was like, I'm not cool with 2 girls main eventing, and I'm co-main eventing.
Well, to be clear, I think his main issue was that these girls hadn't been around for a long time.
Okay, I think that's what he said. Yeah, no, for sure.
Right.
His phrase was, he goes, I don't want to get headlined by 2 125ers that have only been in the UFC for 2 years?
Yeah.
That's what he said. So
yeah.
I'm assuming that his issue was that they hadn't put in the same amount of work that he has, you know?
Right.
I don't think he would have put up the same fight if it was like Amanda Nunes versus Cyborg 2 or something,
right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But crazy. Yeah, this fight's nuts, dude.
Yep, cannot wait. Let's move on to the co-main. Kelvin Gastelum and Darren Till.
Yes.
So Darren Till moving up to 185.
Yes.
And fighting Kelvin Gastelum, who's just coming off a loss against Israel Adesanya.
Yeah, dude, what a fucking fight that was. Oh, my God.
Between Kelvin and Israel?
Yeah.
Yep.
What a fucking fight that was.
That's definitely a contender for Fight of the Year for me.
And Darren is coming off
2 losses.
2 losses.
Yeah. I'm very interested to see how Darren Till looks at 185.
Yeah.
With not having to cut down 15 extra pounds.
The thing that I like for his chances of going to 185, not only is he naturally just a big fucking dude.
He is big, yeah.
It's no secret how hard of a time he had making 170, but that his game isn't predicated on his speed.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
He's not a speed-based fighter. If he was, then going up 15 pounds, it's concerning.
Right.
But he's always been more of like a pressure and power type of fighter, kind of almost like Paulo Costa.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can see that.
So and speaking of which, he's going up to Paulo Costa's weight class. So
yes, he is.
So here's the thing about this fight in particular. I have a history of underestimating Kelvin Gastelum, and I also have a history.
I think a lot of people do.
And I also have a history of overestimating Darren Till.
Yeah.
Right. So, however, I'm gonna have to pick Darren Till in this fight.
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think. I think like pound for pound, skill wise, I think that Kelvin Gastelum is a more skilled fighter.
Okay.
But I just think Darren Till is just going to be too much.
What do you think about this fight?
Man, well, I I'm actually a pretty big fan of
I was gonna
Gastelum.
say that. Yeah, I was gonna say.
Ever since I watched him on The Ultimate Fighter, like he was the underdog since then.
Yeah.
And I didn't think he was gonna win at all, especially against Uriah Hall in the finale. But that was like more of like a scrimmage fight than anything.
Yeah.
But looking at this fight, I mean, I'm leaning towards Gastelum in here because he has knockout power in both of his hands.
I agree.
Right, and I think he could actually get this finish.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree. If he lands, which we know he can, if he lands on Darren Till, he does the same thing that Jorge Masvidal do.
Yeah.
And if Jorge Masvidal put him out like that, Kelvin Gastelum's gonna fucking hurt him.
This is such an interesting matchup because like there's a lot of big stakes on both of these guys, right? For Kelvin, if he gets his win, then I feel like he might be back in that discussion.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
For a title fight.
Yeah.
Now, if Darren Till wins, now does that now ignore all the noises of him from his back-to-back losses? Is he finally back on track in a new weight division where he's more comfortable, right? There's big stakes on both guys.
Yeah.
I feel like so it's a big fight for these fighters.
I think this is a way worse fight for Kelvin to lose than for Darren.
For sure, because like I mentioned, like if he loses this fight, that now he's not in that discussion for a while,
right?
For a title.
Because the way that I look at it, right, like you look at a guy like Ben Askren, right? He lost that one fight versus Jorge, and the idea was that if he beats Damian Maia, he's at least in the conversation
for sure,
right, to get back up there, right? So for Kelvin Gastelum, right, he goes to that 5-round war with Israel Adesanya. It's pretty clear that he's right there, right on the cusp, right?
Right.
So he's kind of in a similar situation where it's kind of generally understood that if he beats Darren Till, he's right back in that conversation, right?
I think so.
Whereas opposed to if he loses this fight, that's 2 losses now.
Back to back,
which means that road is that much longer.
Right, because you would have to assume Darren Till is not a fight away from contention now.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like I'm looking at the
Kelvin?
rankings. Yes.
Yeah.
Because he's ranked number 9. I don't know if that's a welterweight or middleweight. I don't think he's ranked.
He's not ranked middleweight yet.
No. Well, I would guess if he beats the number 4 guy in middleweight, he's 1 fight away from being contention for the middleweight title.
Right.
So big stacks for both of these fighters.
Yeah.
Personally, I just feel like Kevin Gastelum, for me, is a guy I'm going to pick on this fight for the reasons you said. I feel like his hands are better. I feel like he's definitely got a chin. So if there's a war, I feel like he'd be able to manage it. Right. He's very quick on his feet, too, because he had a lot of scrambles against Israel that are not – people don't give him credit for.
He's incredibly deceptive. Yeah. People look at him like how short he is, his frame.
Yeah.
And he's got some of the fastest hand speed I've ever seen.
He has
not even
hands.
Just for like his body style and shape, just in general, his hand speed is crazy.
I agree. Right? I was so impressed by him his last fight, even though he lost.
He doesn't get a lot of credit for a lot of things that he does really well, despite his stature or whatever you want to say, right? The reason I'm picking Darren Till, though, is because like look at Israel Adesanya, right? He has never really looked to be in any trouble, right? Except for in that fight with Kelvin. He looked to be in lots of trouble.
Yeah, for sure.
And if we're looking at it that way, right? Israel Adesanya, who's the current champion, he's undefeated. He's beat all these people, right? And you look at Israel Adesanya and you say, okay, here's a fighter who's clearly at this level, right? And if Kelvin Gastelum gave him that much trouble, you would have to assume that means that Kelvin's right there.
Yeah.
Right? But the way I look at it is he had a lot of success against a much taller opponent, right? Who used a lot of his length and a lot of flashiness, right? Darren Till is also a much bigger opponent, but unlike Israel, he doesn't use flashiness and like length and reach to his advantage. He uses pressure and power. And I can't, right off the top of my head, I can't think of the last time we've seen anybody try that against Kelvin.
So has he fought against someone like Yoel?
Kelvin?
Yes, has he
the
fought
closest thing is Jacare, but that's not.
Yeah.
Jacare and Darren Till are 2 completely different fighters.
Right, no, I definitely. Interesting.
How does Darren Till fare against wrestlers?
We don't really know because no one's really tried it.
The only guy I can think of it. Well, would you say
Tyron Woodley's definitely a wrestler, but he didn't really wrestle him in that fight.
No,
the only time
sure.
he went to the ground was when fucking Tyron clipped him.
Yeah. I agree.
That's a good question though.
Yeah.
But also how much do we ever see Kelvin wrestle really?
I think he has like a wrestling base though.
He does.
So
yeah.
I mean, maybe we'll see a little bit more wrestling from Kelvin.
That I feel like that would be the perfect way to make this fight really interesting.
Interesting. No, I'm hoping this is going to be a great fight. I'm excited for this.
I think it will be a great fight.
I think so too.
Yeah, because like you said, even though I'm counting on Darren Till's power to be the difference, you did say that Kelvin's got a chin, so it's not like one shot's gonna put him out.
I don't think so.
He's gonna have to take multiple.
And that's where I feel like the difference may be is if Kelvin catches Darren in a good shot.
Yeah.
Is he good enough to take that kind of damage? Is what I'm trying to say.
Right.
Because those last 2 fights, he did get clipped, and he did eventually drop to the ground, and that was it.
Yeah.
So that to me would be a key to keep an eye on.
This weight change though has so many answers. So many questions to be answered.
Yeah. So
because like for example, like when he got knocked out fucking cold by Jorge Masvidal, it's not like Jorge had been like putting in damage for a long time and then eventually broke him down and knocked him out. He hadn't really tagged him with anything super hard yet.
Yeah.
And that one shot put him fucking out.
Yeah, it put him out. So and you showed me that meme video.
Yeah. It was fucked up. So I saw a video somebody edited, because you know how Darren Till walks out to Sweet Caroline? Yeah. Well, his head bounced off the fucking canvas 3 times, so they times it away.
Yeah. I felt so bad, but I was like, that's funny.
Bad. Terrible.
Yeah, you sent me that like the next day.
But you have to consider, right? You look. The reason I brought up how easily he got cleaned out by Jorge Masvidal was that you look at a guy like that and you might say, oh, that guy doesn't have a chin, right? Mm-hmm. But you have to wonder how much was that weight cut affecting him.
Right.
You know?
No, for sure.
And he looks to have packed on some size.
He does. I've noticed his interview.
Yeah,
huge. I haven't seen
he looks huge.
He just did an interview for ESPN, I think yesterday. He looks pretty big.
He looks like the same size, just slightly less defined, Paulo Costa.
Yeah, he looks heavier. For sure.
Yeah.
So interesting. It's gonna be interesting.
Body right there.
Which I don't want to get ahead of myself here, but at some point down the line, we have to see Darren Till versus Paulo Costa.
Man.
That would be a dope fight.
Yeah, it would.
Well, let's see Yoel run that back with Costa.
We'll see what happens. But I don't know. Is that everything for Till Gastelum?
Yeah, no, I think we dissected that matchup, gave our predictions. Let's move down to the next matchup. Your boy Wonder Boy Thompson.
Let's go.
And Vicente Luque.
Let's go.
I'm so excited for this one.
This is a good fight.
So what are your thoughts? What are you looking at? How you think this matchup's gonna be played?
I feel like looking at it right off the bat, with no disrespect to Vicente Luque, I think this should be a fairly straightforward fight for Wonder Boy.
Okay.
So the reason I say that, I actually think pretty highly of Vicente Luque.
Me too.
I think he's a really good fighter.
Especially from his last fight.
Yeah, I think I like the way he carries himself. In the cage, he's a well-rounded fighter. He seems to mix up his strikes and his grappling really well. He's fought some good people. And he's just solid. He's a solid fighter. He deserves to be where he is in the rankings. And
Vicente does?
Yeah.
Okay, because he's number 14.
Yeah. I honestly wouldn't even have an issue with him being a lot higher than that.
Yeah, maybe just around 10.
Yeah. However, I feel like people might be sleeping on Wonder Boy because of the result from his last 5 fights. I think he's like 1-4 or something like that in his last 5 fights, or 1-3-1 or something like that. But I mean, if we want to just break down those losses, right? He has a draw versus Tyron, and then a loss versus Tyron, right? Which went to decision. He's got that loss versus Darren Till, which a lot of people thought might have been a hometown decision. I personally thought it was a really close fight, but I personally had edged it out for Wonder Boy, so I thought he had won that fight. And then he's got this fight versus Anthony Pettis, where he was doing really, really well and then got caught.
Yep.
Right? So I feel like you look at a guy like that, and he's a little bit older. He's in his mid-30s. It seems like the classic case of you putting a guy who used to be at the top of the game and is on his way out versus a guy who's on their way to the top of the game and on the rise, right?
Kind of like a gatekeeper, I would say.
Yeah, right? Like a stepping stone or however you want to call it. However, I just think Wonder Boy's level is just too high.
Is he from New York?
Who?
Wonder Boy.
No, he's from the Carolinas.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, what I love Wonder Boy because I love karate. And any fighter that would use karate in the sport is awesome. Lyoto Machida.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Right.
So I don't think it's gonna be a straightforward fight though.
Okay.
I don't think Wonder Boy is gonna do well in the clinch.
Okay.
That I think that's gonna be the big difference for Luque.
Okay. So you expect Luque then to come out and clinching be a part of his game plan?
Interesting. Did he do much of that against Mike Perry?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. It was a dirty fight.
It was
very dirty fight. Yeah. I'm gonna lean on Wonderboy.
Yeah.
On this one.
So the reason I say that is because like it's not like Vicente Luque doesn't have people to give him looks.
No,
for
sure.
Wonderboy,
Yeah,
right?
I agree.
It's not like Wonderboy's style is that unique, but like there's just a difference between the guys that you would bring in to mimic a guy like Wonderboy and Wonderboy himself.
Yeah.
You know, the speed, the smoothness, the technique. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah.
I think I think it should be a good fight though.
I think so too. And I my only worry is if Wonderboy gets caught again with a crazy punch.
Yeah, that'd be rough.
Because Luque just came off a war.
If I'm not mistaken, I think that's Wonderboy's one and only knockout loss.
Is it?
Yeah.
Interesting.
If I'm not mistaken. I can look that up,
you could be right.
Well, while you're looking at that, then let's talk about the next fight, Derek Lewis and...
Oh, shit. Blagoy Ivanov.
Yeah, I was going to mispronounce his name. How you say his first name?
Blagoy.
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 What country is he from?
He's from Bulgaria.
Bulgaria, okay.
Blagoy.
He's an ugly motherfucker. I hope he's not watching this.
That is his one and only loss. This is Blagoy's favorite show, by the way.
I know, right? Okay.
Yeah, he's from Bulgaria. Yeah, so it's kind of interesting, actually. So the first time I actually watched Blagoy was when he fought JDS, right?
That
JDS,
must have been a while ago.
It was last year.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
It's like summer of last year.
Interesting.
Blagoy was coming into the UFC, and JDS was coming back after being suspended or whatever, right? I didn't think he looked that impressive, to be honest with you. Although going 5 rounds with JDS is no joke, which at the time I thought, okay, this is clearly a sign that JDS is like, he's on his way out. Yeah. He's rusty, whatever. But then his performances after that, minus the loss versus Francis, he looked great.
Yeah, he did.
He looked great versus Derek Lewis.
Yeah.
Did he fight anybody else? No, it must have been Derek Lewis then. I thought he looked really, really great in. So it showed that Blagoy at least has the level to be in there 5 rounds with somebody of a high caliber, right? And then he beat Tai Tuivasa too, which was fairly impressive.
That is true.
Yeah. But Derek Lewis is a fucking animal though.
Right.
But what I was trying to get at though is when I like looked a little bit deeper into Blagoy Ivanov's record, I was actually kind of impressed. I think he's only lost a few times. He's only lost. Let's see. Let's take a look at his record.
He's only lost twice.
He's only lost twice, and he's 18-2. And he's got. I mean, he fought Tai Tuivasa. He beat Ben Rothwell. He's beat Sean Jordan, who's fairly well known outside the UFC. He's beat Josh Copeland. And then, this is so random. He's got a fight with fucking Ilir Latifi in 2008, and he got called a no contest because the ring broke.
That's interesting. Yeah. Big guys like that.
Super fucking random.
Yeah.
Fight with Ilir Latifi 11 years ago.
Yeah. Sledgehammer.
But yeah, anyway, for this one, I don't really have like that much of a technical breakdown. I think.
Well, yeah, I mean, usually heavyweights these big, they just throw heavy shots.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
It really is.
I don't know, but like recently, when you look at Derek Lewis, like his fights have been going
not well for him.
Not well.
Yeah.
He gets tired pretty easily.
Yes, he does.
You know, hopefully he works.
He doesn't
on his
like going to the
cardio a little bit
ground.
More. So I don't know where this will go.
Okay, are you telling me
just like
that you're predicting an upset here?
I don't know if you can call it an upset.
Yeah, I don't know who the favorite would be.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, like just Lewis's last fights, like I don't see him, maybe getting a knockout or anything like that. Maybe it could go to a decision.
That's true, man. Actually, now that you mention it, because his last, if you really think about it, his last good performance is before Alexander Volkov.
Yep.
Because he won that fight.
I'm trying to look. Yeah, I'm trying to look at his last.
Yeah, that was just one lucky shot.
Yeah, exactly.
And to give him credit, to be lucky, you've got to be skillful.
Yeah, that's true.
So, and I saw it coming too.
Yeah.
But he was definitely losing that fight.
Yes.
If that had happened,
right,
Lewis would have lost.
And then he gets manhandled by DC,
and
then he gets picked apart by JDS.
Didn't he get the win against Francis in that boring fight?
Yeah, but he got the win versus Francis because he threw 3 strikes and Francis threw 1.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, now that you
was that the fight before Volkov?
I think so.
It was before Bull
I
Cup.
think
Then
so.
shit, man. Then maybe you're right. Maybe we haven't seen a good performance from Derek Lewis in quite some time.
Yeah.
Man.
Are you convincing me that I'm gonna pick What's his name again?
Blagoy Ivanov.
Blagoy.
Yeah.
I just saw his
now
nickname
that
is Baga.
Baga.
So shit.
Shit, man.
So originally I was gonna pick. I was gonna
pick Derek Lewis.
I was gonna pick Derek Lewis by knockout.
I didn't really think about it
but
that way.
it made me realize how lazy of an idea that was. I think Blagoy wins a decision.
I think I'm gonna have to lean with you. I really do. I was hoping for a knockout, but you know what? Maybe it might not be a knockout.
I'm gonna go Lewis with decision.
Okay.
Oh wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Interesting. So we got two of us saying Blagoy and one of them saying Lewis.
Yep.
Or do we agree it's gonna be entertaining, or is it gonna be a little slow, boring?
I think it's gonna be slow and boring.
It's gonna depend on how Derek Lewis wants to fight.
I was gonna say that. Yeah.
Because Blagoy's pretty patient.
Yeah.
And he doesn't push the pace or anything like that. He's just a pretty standard fighter.
Yeah.
So if Derek Lewis comes out the way that he did against like Francis, then yeah, this is gonna be a really boring fight.
Okay.
Yeah, I expect it to go essentially the same way.
Yeah.
Yep.
And then we're gonna talk about the last the last fight on this card. Your boy Gregor Gillespie
Yes.
is taking on Kevin Lee
Yes, he is.
in a 155 matchup.
Yeah. So
I have so much to fucking say about this one.
Yeah.
Particularly.
this fight in particular, this is like one of those fights though where like, for example, when we're talking about Nate versus Jorge, right?
Yeah.
And we're like, that fight is so close that like even if you pick somebody to win, if the other person wins, you're like, all right, that's fair. Like I had a good feeling that was gonna happen, right? With this particular fight, I feel like whatever side of the aisle you're on, you're so sure of what's gonna happen that that if the that whoever wins, whoever picked the other person is gonna get trashed pretty hard.
Okay.
But this fight is just really intriguing.
Okay. I feel like you're leaning on Gregor on this one.
I am leaning on Gregor.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna have to agree. I mean, especially with his last fight against Yancey.
Like, oh, with Gregor or Kevin Lee?
Gregor fighting Medeiros and winning.
Yeah.
He
How did I miss that
big
fight?
brothered him.
Yeah.
How did I miss that one?
Well, you missed it.
I know, I missed it.
Yeah.
And we saw Yancey too at 240.
Yancey. Yeah.
Well, so do you guys feel like this is a close matchup, a close fight? You feel, or is this?
Well, here's the thing: their styles are very similar.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
There's just we know what we're getting. We know exactly what we're getting from Gregor Gillespie.
Okay.
However, we don't know exactly what we're going to get from Kevin Lee for a couple of reasons. He's lost several fights now.
Yes, he has. And now I was going to ask you. This is 155.
Yeah.
Wasn't his last fight 170?
At 170. Yeah, that's literally exactly where I was going. Yeah, this fight's back at 155.
And I have one more question.
What?
There was rumbles that he was going to train with GSP.
And that's the third place I was going. Yes.
Did that happen or
yes,
not?
he's training at TriStar with Faraz Sahabi and GSP.
So this is my prediction.
Okay.
I just feel like Kevin Lee is in this fucking cloud right now.
Yeah.
There's so many things that are unsure from him.
Yeah.
I just have a feeling that Gregor's going to run him over.
Yeah, so
like a truck.
Yeah, that's the common thought.
Because you hype him up a lot.
Yeah.
I'm looking at this motherfucker. He looks like a serial killer from Russia.
Gregor Gillespie?
Yeah, look
with
at
the little tiny ass fucking ponytail and shit. Yeah.
With the fucking crazy
just came out of the
ears.
gulag.
Oh shit, he's got
he
that.
He looks like he
yeah.
just came out of prison.
Yeah.
So, like everything you talk about, and I'm sure he's a great fighter. He's an up and coming fighter, number 11.
Yeah.
And then with the uncertainty with Kevin Lee and his camp and going up and down in weight and being unsure of who to train with.
Yeah.
Everything tells me he's gonna get run over.
Dude, but here's the thing, and this is what makes it so tough. Is it like Gregor Gillespie? At this point now, he's fought good competition.
Okay.
He hasn't fought great competition. Right?
So is this his first great competition?
Oh, I wouldn't say that yet.
Okay.
I wouldn't say that yet. Kevin Lee has faced great competition though.
For sure. But he hasn't performed well.
No, and that's exactly what I was gonna say. Is we've seen nothing but outstanding performances from Gregor.
Right.
And from Kevin, we've seen a little bit of both. We've seen terrible performances, and we've seen outstanding performances from Kevin Lee. Like for example, his fight versus Tony Ferguson. Mm-hmm. He lost that fight, but he was.
That was a good fight. I remember that
because
that was it for the interim belt.
Yes, it was a good fucking fight, and Kevin had staff.
I remember that because Tony was saying he was trying to punch it.
Remember that? Tony. Yeah.
I remember that.
And then look at what he did to Edson Barboza. And for anybody that thought that Edson Barboza might have been done or whatever, look at what Edson Barboza then turned around and did to fucking Dan Hooker.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So the thing is, I don't know. Let's put it this way. I think right now, going into the fight, based on what we've seen recently, is why I'm picking Gregor Gillespie so heavily. But if we're basing this just on like potential and like if Kevin Lee can live up to the potential that I saw from him, right? Then he can win this fight.
Okay.
But I haven't seen it yet. So if it depends on what we see from Kevin Lee, that's what I'm going to base my opinion off going forward. Okay. But right now, from what we've seen, I think Gregor Gillespie beats him.
Do you think training with GSP would make that big of a difference?
It depends on two things. It depends on A, the amount of time, how long he's been there, and number two, how good he is at absorbing shit. Because we've seen both cases. We've seen people move gyms and it does absolutely nothing for them, or it makes him even worse.
That's true.
Or we've seen fighters make a change in camp and just
it changes
turn it.
Yeah, it's
right? True. So for me, the fact that Kevin Lee is a young guy, he seems like, if you watch him on Joe Rogan, he seems to be a fairly intelligent guy. I think he was a biomed student before he decided to go full-time MMA, right? He's a pretty smart dude. He's young. He's got all the tools. He's fast. He's got good striking. He's got good wrestling. His cardio could use a little work, but that also could just be like a fight IQ or a game plan type of thing.
Right.
Because like the big fight for him was versus RDA. I was like, this is a really good matchup.
With Kevin Lee?
Yes. Yeah. I thought this is a really good matchup. It's a tough fight, but it's a winnable fight, right? And in my opinion, he just made way too many mistakes in that fight to win it.
Right.
And the biggest one for me was that what ended up costing him is that he got tired.
Right.
Right? He ended up getting subbed because he was fucking exhausted. However, he came out when the bell rang for the first round. He came out like what a fighter looks like when he has somebody hurt.
Yeah.
He came out fucking throwing hard and fast and like nonstop. Similar to what I told you about Robert Whittaker when we were watching that fight. I was like, he can't keep this up for 5 rounds.
No.
Right?
Yeah.
The same thing happened to Kevin. He came out super fucking hard in that first round. He still went super hard in that second round. And by the third and fourth, he was gassed.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. It depends.
Okay.
It depends on... I mean, the reason I'm saying all these things is because I'm a big fan of Kevin Lee. And I really hope that he ends up putting it together.
I hope so, too, because there was a lot of hype with him particularly.
Yeah. So much so hype that, to be honest with you, at one point I thought this dude has a chance at being a world champion.
Yeah. There was a lot of rumbles about that. And since then, he's just been on this downhill slide.
So if he loses this fight now too, man, that's just rough.
It's gonna be rough on him. I'm sure he's gonna look at his team and be like, "What the fuck am I doing?"
Well, he's got a new team now.
No, I know, but he's gonna look at himself like, you know what I mean?
Right.
Because like, as someone who's been hyped up as being the next guy, and then having this slide now, it's gotta hurt your fucking ego and your confidence.
Definitely.
Speaking of ego and confidence, though, I mean, you gotta hand it to him for signing the contract with Gregor Gillespie. Because if I were in his situation, I'd be like, all right, I know what I'm capable of. I know what I can do.
Let me fight.
I don't necessarily want to take right. Yeah, shit. I would have just flat out taken a more winnable fight.
For sure, it's a tough fight for him. But just the reasons for I said, when me and you watch this fight this weekend, I'm just gonna look at you and be like, he's gonna feel the full force of a truck. Watch.
Right.
I think this is actually a really good fight for Kevin Lee. I know he should probably maybe aim for a winnable fight.
Okay.
But I think he has a lot to gain from this fight, especially with with Gillespie.
Are you leaning towards Lee, or are you still gonna go with?
Honestly, I think it's a toss-up.
Okay.
I really do think it's a toss-up.
So you see,
because with your analysis, really, like, we don't know what we're gonna see from Kevin Lee.
Right.
He hasn't fought since May. So, depending on how much he trained with GSP, which I'm not even that big of a fan of GSP.
Okay.
But I think...
How dare you? Love you, GSP.
I said not big of a fan.
Oh, okay. I will allow that.
Say, Petroleum Gate. But, no, but we really don't know what we're going to see from Kevin Lee. But I think I would lean a little bit more towards Gillespie if I had to choose.
Got it.
Also, just to clarify, Gillespie has shown to have somewhat proficient striking, but obviously his bread and butter is to Khabib people, right? So that's kind of the way I'm looking at this fight. However, if we do see a better version of Kevin Lee, right? I think Kevin Lee is a better all-around mixed martial artist. And that being said, I think if Kevin can come out and have outstanding takedown defense, if he can fight him the way that Douglas Lima fought Rory McDonald, then I change my pick and I pick Kevin.
Okay.
Yeah.
But I'm predicating the victory for Gregor, assuming that he's going to be able to do what he's been doing to everybody else,
right?
Which is get them to the ground and
just
beat
maul
people. Yeah.
Okay.
But if Kevin can stay on the feet, then he can make it really interesting.
Okay.
Really interesting.
Overall,
Kevin's he's an entertaining striker, in my opinion.
Yeah. Interesting. Well, overall, I'm just hoping for a good fight.
Yeah.
Overall.
Absolutely.
Yes.
Let's move on then. So that's the main card.
Is that it? Was that 4
yeah.
fights?
That was
That was
the main
5
card.
fights,
That was
right?
5. Wow.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep.
Okay.
Let's move on to the prelims, and let's move on to what I think is going to be the contender matchup.
Okay.
For who may face John Jones next, between Johnny Walker and Corey Anderson. Very interesting matchup here. What are your thoughts?
So I think
lots on the line for both of these guys who
Yeah.
keep talking about that next title shot.
Right. Yeah. Dude, if Corey Anderson loses this fight, he's gonna get fucking flamed so hard by the fans.
For sure.
Man, yeah, this fight's kind of interesting because like Johnny Walker obviously has all the hype in the world.
Yes.
Right now.
So Johnny Walker, for me, I feel like is viewed as a favorite on this one.
100%.
A lot of people are riding on this guy.
Yeah. But the thing is that Johnny Walker, he's fun, dude. Like, just listen to the guy talk and like, just look at the guy. Like, he just looks fun and out weird.
Getting
and
injured during celebrations.
Yeah.
But
right?
is he a guy that does take risks during fight? Like, do you notice that?
Yeah, yeah.
That is what worries me.
Yeah.
When I watch this matchup.
Well, here's the thing, though. Like, Johnny Walker's coming off 3 first-round flash fucking knockouts.
For sure.
Super exciting shit, right? I have to go back and do a little bit more film study on what it looks like when he's in an actual fight. Like when he's in a back and forth.
Right. I will edit this out.
Anyway, I think this fight could surprise some people.
You think so?
Yeah, because everybody in the world is going to be banking off of what Johnny Walker's done in his last 3 fights, and look at Corey Anderson. And Corey Anderson doesn't really draw a lot of attention to himself. I wouldn't be surprised if a lot of people haven't even seen him fight.
I've seen him fight.
I remember he was also brought up in The Ultimate Fighter.
Yep.
I remember watching him fight, and I thought he was impressive, but like his last recent wins, I don't even remember him. I'm actually looking at his record, and his last 3 fights all went to decision.
Yep, and then he got knocked out before that, I think.
Let me see. Yeah, by
OSP?
Manua, and then OSP.
Oh, shit.
Knocked him out. Yeah.
Oh.
First round by Manua, and then Manua was Fight Night 107, and then OSP was UFC 217.
Okay.
So I don't know.
This one's kind of hard for me to pick.
I'm gonna go with the upset here.
Cause, like,
what's the upset?
Corey Anderson.
You picking Corey Anderson?
Yes.
I'm kind of leaning that direction also.
So for my reasons is I just feel like Johnny Walker, yes, he's a great young talent, but I feel like this guy, all the crazy shit he does, it seems like he takes a lot of risks.
Yeah, he does.
Unnecessary risks.
Yeah. Corey
Anderson comes out to me as very disciplined, very calm.
Yeah.
And I think that's going to work to his advantage for this particular fight. And your dogs are going crazy.
Johnny, if Corey loses this fight, it's going to be rough for him. That dude's never getting a title shot.
So this is what I'm saying is like this is big implications for both fighters.
Yeah.
Right? Because if Johnny Walker wins spectacularly, then you can say this guy's the next guy in line to face John Jones.
Yeah, and if
Corey Anderson wins, now he's the guy that's potentially in line to fight John Jones. Because there's a story there between these two guys.
Yeah.
Yeah, there is.
Yeah. So like I was mentioning before, our little cut here, our little edit is, I was saying how Johnny Walker seems like he's a flashy guy, exciting guy.
Yep.
But he seems like he takes a lot of unnecessary risks for me.
Okay.
And Corey Anderson is a total opposite. Very calculated, very calm, right? He's patient.
Yeah.
From what I've seen in his last couple fights.
Right.
And I feel like if Johnny Walker does something unnecessary, I think this is where Corey Anderson may catch him or do something to his advantage.
Yeah.
That may change the fight. So because I haven't seen a whole lot of Johnny Walker, right? He just blew up off one fight where he did a backflip. Well, for me at least, like I need to do more homework on him personally, but I feel like he really, really blew up in the scene from his last fight.
Okay,
is that something that's like
I think he really blew up when he beat Khalil Roundtree.
Yeah.
How much fight was that? 2 fights ago?
2 or 3 fights ago. Yeah.
Okay. Well, then maybe I haven't done a lot of homework on Johnny Walker, but I can only base of what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
So just take that with a grain of salt.
Yeah.
So I'm leaning on Corey Anderson.
Yeah. So I don't know, but to me this is an important fight because it says a lot about both fighters. If Johnny wins this fight, and I was watching Embedded, he was talking about how he wants to go 3 rounds. He doesn't want to like finish this fight in like 15 seconds again.
Walker?
Interesting.
Yeah. So if that's the case, if Johnny Walker does decide he wants to not put him away super early and make it a fight, and then he ends up winning, then I'll be like, okay, this dude's a real fighter.
Mm-hmm.
You know, worked his way up, got to Dana White's Tuesday Night Contender
That's
Series.
good that he's thinking about that, because if you face John Jones, you're not going to knock out John Jones.
No. Yeah. No.
I don't see that happening. Like if Thiago Santos couldn't catch him because John Jones was smart enough and not to engage in that brawl,
yeah.
What makes you think you're going to knock him out?
Holy shit, that'd be a super fun fight. Because there's no way Johnny Walker just like stands there and like tries to figure out.
Right, because John Jones is a very calculated guy.
Yeah, he is.
Like we were talking on our last podcast how he doesn't get enough credit for his fight IQ.
Well,
John Jones. Very smart. He does not put himself in harm's way. He makes sure that he's always in the advantage at all times.
Yeah.
And that's how he wins these 5 round, 3 rounds, that they go.
Yeah. And he's able to do it without wrestle fucking people.
Yeah.
Because that's pretty much the
very
only way people
smart
figured
guy,
out to like avoid getting damaged.
Yeah. He's very smart. So, I mean, that could be an advantage for Johnny Walker.
He definitely has the length.
Yes, he does.
So.
But anyway, if Johnny wins this fight in that type of fashion, then I'm like, all right, this dude's for real. Like, he's not just a hype train from like flash knockouts. However, if Corey Anderson loses this fight, then people have all the tools in the world, or the ammunition in the world to be like, see, this is why nobody cares about you.
Yeah.
So does that change, like, the fact that Johnny Walker is going to perhaps play it safer, like drag to a decision, perhaps? Does that change your outlook?
But that's where I need to do my homework on this guy.
Yeah, man. I'll be
I've
honest,
only seen him one fight. For me, I felt like he blew off the scene for me as a casual guy. Remember, I don't consider myself as some kind of MMA expert, right? I'm more of a casual. I pay attention to MMA as much as I can. Mm-hmm. So for me, Johnny Walker, I started noticing him from his last fight.
Okay.
Because I didn't know who he was before his last fight.
Okay.
To be fair. So I just need to do more homework on him.
Okay. Yeah, I saw him on Contender Series, and I thought he was pretty fun.
Yeah.
And then his 3 fights in the UFC have all been crazy. To me, though, I was... Because Khalil Roundtree was coming off that win over Gokhan Saki. And so everybody was really high on Khalil Roundtree at the time. And then when Johnny Walker put him out, I was like...
You were like, damn, okay. Yeah, who knows, man? I just know, like this guy has a lot of hype behind him.
He beat Serkinov, I want to say, via fucking flying knee. Who's the third one?
36 rounds. Or it's 36 seconds.
Jesus.
Are you...
Justin Ledet.
That's right, Justin Ledet.
Are you also leaning towards Walker?
I'm going with Walker. I don't think the fight's gonna drag. I think he's gonna finish.
He's gonna knock Corey Anderson.
I think he's gonna knock Corey Anderson out. I know you say that because he's flashy, that he's gonna get caught by Anderson. Like he's gonna make.
It's possible,
but I think Anderson plays it too safe.
And that's so. I was thinking about his last fight as we were talking. I was like, he was very patient in his last fight. Which then worries me. So it's hard for me to pick, really, because this fight can go either way.
Yeah, I think if I absolutely have to take a pick though, I'm gonna pick Johnny Walker.
Okay.
I'll go second round TKO.
Okay. What do you think?
I can.
You think KO?
I think
Johnny Walker.
Definitely.
Okay. I'm gonna stick to my position because I'm a man. Okay, even though I might sound stupid.
Okay.
But I'm gonna say Corey Anderson for now. My opinion may change once I do my more research and homework, but I'll say Corey Anderson. I think that's everything we gotta say about that one, right?
Yep.
Okay, so these next couple fights.
I'm very excited for the next
disclaimer:
fight.
I don't know these guys.
Don't worry, I got
Take it away, Kelvin.
Yeah. So this fight is
Shane Burgos. And
so we do this thing where it's not necessarily every card, but usually every card we look at a fight. that maybe a lot of people aren't really talking about.
That should be talking about.
That should be talked about
Fair
more.
enough.
This is your sleeper.
This is the sleeper pick.
Shane Burgos and what's his other guy's name?
Makwan Amirkhani.
Yeah, I'm not gonna waste my time.
Try it. Sound it out.
Makwan
Amirkhani.
Amirkhani.
There you go.
Why couldn't it just be simple names, bro? Come on, when you name
Where's-
fucking kids, keep it simple.
Where's
you know?
Bill Smith
Like
at?
Michael, that's simple.
Yeah.
I'm just kidding, guys.
Yeah, this is my sleeper for this pick. For this card. This is a really good fight.
Okay.
So there are two different styles, I guess, of fighting. Shane Burgos is a very technical, crisp puncher. He's got really good technique. He's 12-1. His only loss came to Calvin Kattar, who a lot of people I feel like don't really talk about enough. Either.
Now I do.
Yeah.
From his last
His last
performance.
fight was against Cub Swanson.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He looked really good.
So
Isn't he fighting Zabib? Sorry.
Calvin Kattar.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I'm excited for that.
He wanted that fight.
I'm excited for
Dude,
that one.
okay, time out.
Okay.
I'm gonna digress for a minute. Even if Calvin Kattar loses this fight, I don't give a fuck. Like the lead up to this fight, he's gained so much respect from me.
Okay.
Not only like he's been a good fighter. A lot of people were talking highly of him, and I hadn't really paid attention to him. And then I started watching his fights and kind of breaking it down a little bit. I'm like, man, this dude is really talented. To me, the crazy thing is that like everyone is fucking ducking Zabit, right? So apparently the story is he went to the UFC and was like, hey, Boston's coming up. That's my hometown. He goes, not only do I want to fight on that card, but I want you to give me Zabit. He asked for Zabit. He's like, I want Zabit in Boston, right? Which that move in and of itself is sick as fuck.
Yep.
Like, you know, your whole family's going to be there,
Right.
everybody, and you want the guy that everyone's fucking ducking.
Yeah.
That's balls right there. Like,
Right.
respect the shit out of that. Then Zabit pulls out of that fight for undisclosed reasons and says, all right, I'm cool to fight like 6 weeks later, though, in Russia. And Calvin Kattar says, fuck it, I'm in. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
That's fucking awesome.
Yeah.
Like, you, not only the thing that we just mentioned earlier about you calling out the guy that everyone's fucking ducking, but then he doesn't want to fight you in his hometown. He wants you to fly across the fucking world and fight him in Russia, and you're still down. Sign me the fuck up for that guy.
Yeah,
I like that dude.
He kind of reminds me of Connor, how he'll fight anyone, anywhere.
There you go.
He's even clamoring, I'll fight Khabib in Moscow. Book it.
Yeah.
I don't give a shit.
Yeah.
He's literally in Moscow right now.
I know. Yeah, be nuts.
Yeah.
But yeah. So back to this. Shane Burgos' only loss is to Calvin Kattar, and he's put on really good work versus everybody else.
Okay.
Makwan Amirkhani, not necessarily
A household name.
right, but he's flashy and he's fun.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
He had, if I'm not mistaken, he had the fastest knockout in UFC history before Jorge Masvidal took that
Okay.
from him. Also via flying knee, by the way. But I've watched, this dude doesn't fight very often, but I've watched all of his fights and I just like watching him fight. He's entertaining.
Yeah.
He's not only is he flashy and fun, but he also likes to like talk shit in the ring and like and fucking mock people and like you know, he's just, I know that rubs some people the wrong way, and I'm not necessarily saying that like I necessarily respect that or like that's the way people should go.
Like
but I just know that when he gets in the cage, it's gonna be fun. I want to watch this dude fight.
Okay.
Now I'm gonna pick Shane Burgos to win this fight, but I think this fight is gonna be fun to watch.
Cool.
Should be a good fight.
And you, Mark?
I'm leaning towards Burgos as well.
Okay. For the same reasons?
Based on experience, I think he has more experience in the cage. Just looking at his previous wins, and then the fact that he went, all 3 rounds against Cub Swanson and won.
Mm-hmm.
I think he can, if he stays technical I think he can win this fight via decision. I don't see like a knockout or anything like that, but it'll go the distance.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Do you want what other fight do you want to talk about?
Brad Tavares versus Edmund Shabazian.
Okay.
So Brad Tavares, we haven't seen him since July of last year when he fought against Israel Adesanya.
Okay.
And Israel Adesanya put on a masterclass against him 5 rounds, right? But the thing that really stood out to me from that fight was just how fucking tough Brad Tavares is.
Yeah.
Because that was in the tough finale, so they fought in the smaller cage.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And looking at Israel's performance, right? Like not even just physically, but like mentally also what it does to a fighter when somebody's putting a fucking beating on you and doing it in the way that he's doing it. Brad Tavares just showed me a lot of heart. And even though he wasn't necessarily like landing all the stuff that he should have, I was impressed with all the other stuff. I was impressed with his heart. I was impressed with his cardio. He's obviously got power, and he's very experienced. He's been in there with like the best of the best.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm interested in seeing what he looks like this far out. I mean, we haven't seen him fight since last July, right? How much has he improved? Has he improved? But what was I gonna say? Who's the other guy?
That Brad Tavares is fighting?
Yeah, Edmund Shabazian.
Edmund,
That's right. Yeah. So this fucking Edmund guy. So I'd heard a lot about him like 2 or 3 fights ago. Apparently he's like this really young kid. People were calling him a prodigy because he's really good or whatever. So I watched him fight, and this dude looks to be like the whole fucking package. He's got a good frame. He's got really good skill sets. He's got a fucking killer instinct in the cage. He's a fucking aggressive. And he's aggressive anywhere the fight goes. Like, he's aggressive on the feet, and as soon as the grappling exchanges start, he's fucking mauling people.
Yeah.
And the kid's 20 years old and undefeated. And I want to take a look at his resume again. I don't know if he's beat. He definitely hasn't beat anybody like super huge, but he's also got some wins that like are decent, if I remember correctly. He's got
Jack Marshman, Charles Bird.
Oh, he fought to a split versus Darren Stewart.
Yeah, Darren Stewart.
But so anyway, obviously this kid's kind of untested. I think this is a good test for him though.
Okay.
I agree.
Yeah, I'm excited. This is a fight.
Who you leaning towards then?
Ooh, that's a good question. That's a really good question. I think I'm gonna lean towards Shabazian.
Okay.
Yeah.
KO?
The inexperience is there and all that, but he at least seems to be like those diamond in the rough type of dudes that do stuff that nobody else does.
Yeah.
You know?
Are you leaning towards KO or it's gonna go the full distance?
It'll go to a decision. Brad
Okay.
Tavares, if Izzy couldn't take him out in 5 rounds in a small cage, he's a tough dude.
I would go Tavares with decision.
Okay. Are there any other fights you guys want to discuss on the prelims? Because there's you did mention Arlovsky.
Arlovsky.
He's also on this card going against
Rosenstruck.
Yeah.
Personally, I hate the fact that Arlovsky's in early prelims.
Yeah.
I wish he was, at least in the last fight on the prelim card, or even like the first fight on the main card.
Yeah.
But again, there are like 2.
Right.
That would be too many heavyweight bouts. But I don't know. I don't know who to pick in this fight. Arlovsky or Rosenstruck.
You see, it's hard to pronounce these names, fuckers.
Rosenstruck. But I love Arlovsky. If you haven't seen any of his fights, that there was this insane fight that he had with Travis Brown.
Holy shit.
Arlovsky?
Yeah,
I feel like I've seen highlights of that fight. Yeah, I gotta watch it.
If I'm not mistaken,
Can I borrow your UFC fight pass?
Yes, you can. Please do. Actually,
I had ESPN Plus, but I took it down.
Oh.
I was just paying. I had way too many streaming services accounts. And I was like, I gotta start taking some out.
But I want to just pick Arlovsky.
Okay. What about you?
I think it's very impressive actually how fucking active Arlovsky's been. I think he's fought
considering his age.
He's 39 or 40.
40. He's 40 now.
He's fought like 7 times in the last 2 years.
Yeah.
Or something like that.
Mm-hmm. And in a lot of those fights, he's been on the losing end.
Yeah.
Like he's on his way out,
right?
Obviously, but
right.
I can't help but be a homer. And
right.
Pick Arlovsky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Personally, I'm gonna pick Jairzinho.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, okay. So I think that rounds up the prelims. I don't know if there's anything in the early prelims.
I don't necessarily think that we need to talk about it too much, but there are 2 fights on the very early prelims that I think should be pretty interesting. Julio Arce and Hakeem Dawodu, which is the very, very first fight on the card.
Okay.
These are, not necessarily like super standout or anything like that, but 2 fighters who have shown promise and are both kind of in similar areas in their career.
Yeah.
I have seen a fight from Julio Arce though that I thought was super fucking entertaining. I think is when he fought Shayman Moraes.
Okay.
I want to say, yeah. He lost that fight via split, but it was fun. And then his last fight, he won via head kick. I like this Arce kid. I also like Dawadu. And then at welterweight, this is an interesting fight for me. So Chance Recounter really impressed me in his last fight. He beat Ismail Nardaev or whatever, Austrian Wonder Boy, which I thought was kind of impressive. And Lyman Good, his last fight, he got subbed by Damian Maia.
Okay.
But before that, he had looked really good. And I've been waiting to see Lyman Good again because to me, he just got big brothered by Damian Maia.
Yeah.
Like Lyman is a much faster, stronger, younger fighter than Damian was, and I knew he wanted to turn it into a dogfight, but Damian Maia was like, nah, I'm not having any of that. I'm going to push you up against the cage. I'm going to take your back. I'm going to choke you out. That's exactly what he did. So he didn't let Lyman play his game, but it's a game that I've been wanting to see, and that fight was a while ago. So I'm really looking forward to seeing Lyman Good versus Chance Recounter. That's it.
One quick thing. Is there any relation between Jennifer Maia and
Damian Maia? I don't believe so.
Okay,
no.
Just wondering.
Yeah, and if there's anybody watching wondering why we didn't shout out that fight, I honestly don't have a whole lot of information on that fight.
Me either.
I know both of the ladies, and I know that a win for either of them puts them in a good situation. Not necessarily in contention, but for sure in the conversation of like that upper echelon of female fighters. So even though we didn't really talk about it that much, if you're out there listening, you should still watch that fight. It should be a pretty good one.
Before we move on, so your pick for the fight that people should be paying attention to is Shane Burgos.
Shane Burgos, yeah.
Shane Burgos.
Yeah.
Did you have a fight that you want to highlight that if...
No, I think we got...
No, I'm just saying like a fight that people aren't paying attention to that you think, no, people should be watching this
fight.
Like
a sleeper fight?
Yeah, like a sleeper. Anything that pops out to you in the prelims or early prelims? Or would you agree that Shane Burgos fight is?
I think the Burgos fight would probably be the sleeper fight. That would be the fight to watch in the prelim card.
Cool.
I mean, to be fair though, there's just so many fights on this card. Like,
like
so many. It's so easy.
My second choice would be the Tavares. Edmund fight.
Yep.
Yeah, no, this card is absolutely stacked. I was just looking at what the card for 245 looks like. God, it's stacked.
Yeah.
Just to name a few, Kamaru Usman, Colby Covington, my God.
Holloway,
Max Holloway, yep. Nunez versus Jermaine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't want to say your last name. I'm sorry, I mispronounce it. Marlon Moraes, Jose Aldo, Peter Yan, Uriah Faber. I didn't even know Matt Brown is on this card.
Yeah, he's fighting
Ben Saunders.
Ben Saunders, yeah.
Jessica Isaac. God bless you, Jessica I, for what happened to you.
Yeah, she's still alive?
She is. But Jessica I is on this card. She's going against Vivian
Araujo.
Yes. And then it looks like Brandon Moreno, who just fought at UFC Mexico.
He did. Assassin baby.
Who I felt like he got shaded on that fight.
He should have won that fight.
It's already too late to talk about UFC Mexico. I don't know if we did anyways.
We did not.
Well, either way.
Yeah, thank goodness we got to skip that, to be honest with you.
Yeah, so he's on this card fighting against last name France. Kai
Kara France.
Yes.
Yeah.
And that's also far. I'm sure there's going to be more fights announced, but that's a stacked card.
Yeah, it is.
Thank you, Dana White, for putting on these fucking amazing cards to end the year.
For real, though.
I love you.
Yes.
I hate you most of the time, but I love you. So let's move on.
So the first thing that we had on the agenda for other stuff, Maia versus Askren.
Yes. I've been waiting to talk about this fucking fight.
Oh, yes.
I'm just kidding. Go ahead. So what are your thoughts on this fight particularly? Did you watch it?
I did watch it. I did.
Okay, so what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I thought it was actually a surprisingly entertaining fight.
Okay.
I'm sure everybody and their moms expected this to be basically, a grappling match, an ADCC match, like fucking IB,
I heard the
JJF.
first round was more like a striking.
Yeah, no, there was actually a decent amount of striking in the fight.
Interesting.
I thought it was fairly interesting. Ben seemed to have a pretty clear game plan in that he wanted to stay on the feet for the first portion of the fight, and then usually around the last minute he'd like to shoot a takedown and grapple for a bit.
Interesting.
Which I'm sure was just to solidify winning the round. You know, if you can take the guy down and control him. And then in the third round he just got a bit cocky, I feel like, because he seemed to be setting up this game plan of like strike for 4 minutes, take down and grapple for a minute. And in the third round, he went down to the ground a little early, and it cost him. I was a little bit surprised that he got subbed the way he did, because like, and I understand that like Damian Maia is Damian Maia, right? But Ben just looks so calm to me. And I know he's been working with a lot of like really high level jiu-jitsu guys, specifically on jiu-jitsu stuff. So right when Damian Maia took us back, I wasn't all that concerned quite yet. And I don't know how much fatigue played into it. I don't know how much ego played into it. But I was a little surprised to see the choke get locked up, especially the way that it did too. He got it one-handed. It was kind of crazy. But yeah, I mean, Ben says that he made a mistake. I agree. I think he made a mistake, but I think at this level you just can't be doing that.
Right.
Like he said, he wanted an opportunity. You got your opportunity. You made a mistake. So I don't really know which one to say. You know,
Mark, do you have any thoughts about this
I actually missed this fight. I watched the highlights though. It was just too early in the morning for me.
Yeah,
Was
for
it in
sure.
Singapore?
Yeah.
So I was.
Yeah, I hate it when they fight overseas.
I was playing Battlefield 5, but I've said it again. You know, like I've always thought Ben Askren's overrated.
Okay.
So, I don't know how you could really, take down Maia that early in a round.
Yeah.
It just doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Especially if you want to win.
Yes.
But I gotta say, Damian Maia, it's such a treat to watch his jiu-jitsu.
Oh my God.
It's amazing. Like
Yeah.
I can't think of like another fighter that has. Well, Ryan Hall has great jiu-jitsu.
He does have great jiu-jitsu.
I like to see that matchup.
Dude, I want to see wait, who?
Ryan Hall and
Damian Maia.
Doesn't Ryan Hall fight at 145?
He does, not like in the UFC, but like in
a grappling match.
Yeah,
grappling.
grappling.
Yeah, that'd be interesting.
That would be. I don't know if they've ever done that. I should probably look at that. But Damian Maia, there was this one highlight reel where I saw Maia he was on the bottom and then he like transitioned to like an omoplata.
Yeah.
And then he gets top position on Ben Askren, dude.
Yep.
I was just like, whoa.
Yeah, dude.
Like it's amazing. And a lot of people would say like, man, that's just boring fighting.
Yeah.
Because they want to see blood. But no, man, this is a chess match.
Dude, that was exciting as shit. Like Ben had top position, and then Damian Maia gets the arm, fucking twisted, looks like he's about to go into omoplata. Fucking Ben front flips out of it, and then Damian Maia ends up on top. I was watching that go down, and to me it was just as exciting as like watching like Francis and Kane or somebody just fucking swinging at each other, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But I will say this. Damian Maia deserves a lot of credit, not only because he won, but if you look at Ben Askren's fights, it doesn't matter who he's fighting. Like, it doesn't matter how fast they are, how good of a striker they are, how good of a grappler they are. He gets his hands on people. And as soon as he gets his hands on you, that's it. He's taking you to the ground, and you're not going anywhere, right? Ben was still trying to do the same thing. It's like Damian approached this fight as a striker first. He didn't really seem to want to jump into the grappling exchanges. I'm sure what his thinking must have been was, this guy's not going to outstrike me, so I'm going to stand on the feet, and if he wants to go to the ground, then let's do it. I'm assuming that's probably what his mindset was. So the reason I say that is because Damian Maia was on his feet a lot, and Ben was trying to close the gap and take him down the same way that he does everybody else, and he just was never able to.
Yeah.
I mean, he was obviously still landing the takedowns, but he was attempting more than he was getting.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So Damian Maia was doing a good job of avoiding getting taken down for the most part, and then he would eventually get taken down towards the end. But yeah, I feel like Damian deserves a whole lot of credit. I like how because it's Ben Askren that lost, people now want to point out the fact that Damian Maia is 42. I've
always known that.
Like, he won a fight a couple months ago. Nobody was like, oh, this person lost to a 41-year-old Damian Maia.
Yeah.
Lyman Good, right, the guy that I was just talking about earlier, if you look at them, you were like, man, this fight's going to be over quick. Lyman Good is he just looks like one of those 30-year-old fuckboys, he's got a fucking, I don't mean that negatively, I like the guy, but he's got the really nice facial hair, he's jacked as fuck, he's got tattoos everywhere, right? And nobody said shit about that. Nobody was like, I can't believe that guy lost to a 40-something-year-old Damian Maia. But because it's Ben Askren, it was like, he lost to a 42-year-old.
Well,
Damian Maia is still a fucking beast.
No, I know. I just think there's this, people don't like Ben Askren.
They don't.
So I think that's what plays into it. But I want to ask you, are you ready to admit on your mic that Ben Askren is indeed overrated?
I would say this. I would say, based on the level that people thought he was coming into the UFC, yes, he's overrated.
Okay.
However, when people throw out that word overrated, it gets conflated a lot with this person's no good or whatever. Right?
I'm not saying that he's not.
I would still say that Ben is at least worthy of being in the top 15.
Okay.
I feel like there are people definitely in the top 15 that he could beat. But yes, given the level,
the hype that was put on him when he entered the UFC.
Well, I'm not even talking about the hype. I'm just talking about like me personally, the level that I had him personally in my mind.
Right.
Like,
he's not at that level right now. Okay.
No. Yeah.
I agree.
Yeah.
So then, where does Ben Askren go then? What's next for this guy?
Hopefully not retirement.
Yeah.
You want to see him fight?
I want to see him fight.
Because I want to see him go back to one championships and
know,
give me back Mighty Mouse, motherfucker.
That's not gonna happen.
I want my trade back.
Yeah. I feel like I agree with him. I feel like he should take one more fight.
Okay.
Versus somebody decent, somebody good, just so that he can be like, all right, maybe I wasn't at the level that I thought I was.
Right.
But even later in my career, after I had retired and everything, I got my shot in the UFC late. I still showed that I can hang in there with some of these guys.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's what I would wish for him on his way out.
You can go.
Like I was just gonna say, I'd like to see him actually have like a good win.
Yes.
In the UFC, like his fight against Robbie Lawler, like he almost had his first loss there in the first round.
Right.
I felt like if there was any other ref that wasn't experienced as Herb Dean, they would have called that fight off.
Yeah.
But since Herb Dean is very experienced and knows he's not out just yet, he gave him the time.
Right.
And then in his second fight, I mean, if you can call it a fight from him, but
yeah.
And again, like, how much does that affect him? You know,
100%.
That's gotta affect him a lot because like you're being ridiculed off that
Yeah.
on social media. You have to see that every day.
Speaking of the overrated thing, somebody actually brought up a really good point on the internet, and so something that's been happening since that fight happened with Jorge Masvidal.
Mm-hmm.
I've kept thinking to myself, what would have happened if he doesn't land that flying knee?
Yeah.
What happens if the fight just continues out normally, right? To me, personally, what I had was he was going to do the same thing that he does to everybody. He was going to eventually get his hands on Jorge, take him down, and not finish him, but Jorge wasn't going to be able to go anywhere. And if he's just getting held on the ground, getting lightly tapped.
Right. But we're assuming a lot of things. Like
a human blanket, yeah.
What I was going to say is like you're assuming a lot of things on that point,
yes.
right?
Yeah. But the reason I'm bringing this up is because after watching this fight with Damian and seeing more stand-up than I'd ever seen from Ben Askren, I'm not so sure anymore.
Right.
You know?
So like just to piggyback off your idea there, your dog's going crazy.
Yeah.
So I mean like the fact that Jorge Masvidal like read this dude pitch perfect and pulled off that knockout, I'm pretty sure he had a game plan studying this guy and knew like, okay, I know his tendencies.
Right.
He does the same thing each and every single fight.
Right.
I know, and he's being trained by Mike Brown.
Yeah. There was a video where Masvidal was actually practicing that flying knee.
Yeah. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, I mean, it don't matter now. I mean, the fight ended the way your dog's going crazy.
I know.
But and then Askren going to Maya, like he was going to win that fight. You know?
That was a winnable fight, I feel like.
But he just, I think it just got into his head. You know, maybe he just needs to humble himself. Maybe like these.
I was gonna say
these
that
2 losses will humble him up a little bit more, and then he'll fight the way he should be fighting.
Yeah.
You know, so I know who was he talking to about retirement? Was it
Ariel?
Yeah. I don't think he should retire
Helwani.
just yet. Again, just fight 1, 2, maybe 3 more fights, and then like maybe it'll go his way.
Right.
And maybe he'll be like in that conversation again for a title.
It will take some time though.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
Because I think he said like the reason why he's still fighting, he wants to prove he's the best.
Right.
Yeah.
Which means a championship.
Right.
So if that's the case, it's gonna take him 2-3 fights until he's back in there again.
Yeah.
I mean, so I don't know. He doesn't have a whole lot of time left.
No.
So we'll see, man. We'll see if he takes time off or he gets right back into it.
This is an interesting one because like usually almost every single time we have a conversation about a fight after it's over, we usually have a pretty decent idea or at least like suggestions for what could possibly be next.
Mm-hmm.
I really don't know
I don't know what's next for Askren. Yeah, me neither. I would have to look at the rankings and see what's a good matchup for him, as you mentioned, to come back. But I don't know what's next for him. It's just sad and satisfying. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not a big fan of Ben Askren. Okay, so let's move on. What do you got next on your agenda?
Lima McDonald too.
Did you see the fight, Mark?
I did not.
Okay, did you see it?
I did.
Okay,
yeah.
I saw the fight. I probably tuned in like at the end of the first round.
Okay.
So, man, bigs up to Lima. His takedown defense was impeccable.
It was a thing of beauty.
It was so good to see that because every time he tried to take him to the ground, he just felt like it looked like Lima was like, "Nah, you're not taking me down."
Yeah, no.
Like, he outstrengthed him.
Dude, I had the same feeling. Like, it's so weird because, like, there's not a whole lot of body language that you can take while they're in the middle of something. But something about, like, the strength and the way he was shrugging off his takedowns.
It was like
nothing. It was like every time he was getting taken down, it was literally like, "Get the fuck off me."
That's
like,
how I felt like. And I was like, damn, man. You know, it was a slow fight. There wasn't like you mentioned, like, Rory should have been much more aggressive.
100%.
And I think he mentioned that in his post-fight interview. And then Lima was a little bit more calculated, but man, was he throwing punches?
I feel like I saw somebody make a comment of it on Twitter or something. I think they nailed it. They said that it looked like Rory was fighting to not get knocked out.
He
wasn't fighting to win the fight. He wasn't
like.
fighting to finish. He was fighting to not get knocked out. That's what it looked like.
Because once he went to the ground with Lima at the end of the 5th round or towards the 5th round, it seems like his mindset was just to submit the guy.
Well, actually, at the very, very, very end,
because at one point he almost had an arm bar.
Like the last 15 seconds of the fight, though, Rory just like turned on this switch.
Yeah,
and it looked like he wanted, dude. He was on top. He was in top position, throwing down at Douglas, and he was missing. But just like the way he was making contact with the canvas, I was like, this dude's putting absolutely everything he's gotten.
Right.
And I was like, where the fuck was this?
It was a little bit
for
too,
95% of the other fight.
It was a little bit too late.
Yeah,
for that. So
you're down possibly 5 rounds to none, and you're doing this now. Like,
I don't know, man. It's interesting to see what his game plan was originally.
It was a thing of beauty though to watch Douglas Lima work his game plan beautifully. He was aggressive, but not overly aggressive, mixing up his shots really well. Didn't go too much to the leg kick, which was super effective in the first round. And I mean, in the first fight, he didn't go that heavily into the leg kicks. Used a lot of his hands. Did excellent on the takedown defense. He just looked great everywhere.
Yeah,
it was outstanding. To me, watching the fight, it looked like Douglas was the champion and Rory was the challenger.
I agree.
That's what it looked like to me.
Yeah.
And Douglas Lima is now a champion again, $1 million richer.
I was convinced that when they handed the mic to Rory that he was going to call it.
Yep.
I was so convinced that was going to happen.
Yep.
You know, I always have a feeling like towards like the end of most of his fights, he's going to like call for retirement. Because I remember, if I'm not mistaken, he had an interview and he said that he doesn't really like.
He doesn't have it since then.
I believe it's when he lost versus Gegard Mousasi.
Yeah.
No.
It was against Gracie.
Oh, that's right.
What's his name?
Yeah. Neiman Gracie.
Neiman Gracie.
Yeah.
He said something like, "I just don't have it to be that guy anymore."
Yeah.
That
to hurt people.
Yes. And he's taking on this turn where he's in this spiritual journey of his, where he's found God, and good for him. I just feel like I was telling him I was expecting him to call it quits, because if you don't have that mindset, you shouldn't be in there.
I don't know, man. You know, you look at Yoel Romero, dude, and he found God and he's still hurting people.
Right.
That is true.
Ooh, is he hurting people?
That's true.
He's like, he loves God so much he's trying to introduce people.
But he has a totally different fight style than Rory.
Oh yeah.
Would you say so?
No, definitely.
I don't know. I don't know where Rory goes from here. I would love to see him running back one more time.
It sounds like he still wants to fight.
Yeah.
Which is weird.
I would love to see him run that
all right,
back.
it sounds like you want to fight. It doesn't look like it.
Right.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
It's interesting.
What do you think?
I don't know. Like, and you brought up the fact that he was fighting to not get hurt.
Yeah.
You know, and you know, what was the last time like he was actually really hurt? Robbie Lawler?
Probably.
Yeah, that was a tough fight.
He had a shattered nose.
Yeah. No,
he lost to Mousasi, but didn't he get subbed by Mousasi?
He did, but no. What about the first fight between him and Lima? Wasn't that a tough fight for him?
Oh, that's right.
That was a war.
That's fucking right. He ended up having that hematoma on his leg that was like that fucking big.
I remember seeing him on the stretcher. He's all bloodied up. Yeah. We'll see, man. I've always regarded Roy as one of the best welterweights.
100%. Look at his resume. It's crazy.
So where would you see him next?
So originally I thought and this might be it. Who?
MVP.
That's a great fight. Yeah. That is a great fight. Michael Venom Page?
Yep.
I don't know what's next for him, man. I really don't know. Does he want to take one more fight and then do
bounce?
another rematch?
Or
No, with
I would say
trilogy
he fights. He should
Lima?
fight either MVP or Paul Daly.
Those are both good fights.
Yeah, those are good fights for sure. Or does he just wait it out until he gets his next shot again against Lima?
Nah.
I don't know. Whatever Scott wants to do. I don't know what he does next. I'm happy to see him fight again, but if he has that mindset of just I don't want to do this to people anymore, he shouldn't be in there anymore.
Nope.
Right.
So we'll see what happens to him. But yeah.
Conor McGregor.
Yeah. So did you see his press conference
I
in
did not.
Moscow? Okay. So do you know the whole thing that came about from that?
Yeah.
Okay. So Conor McGregor. So what are your thoughts about his announcement of fighting on January 18th and this plan that he has of doing 3 fights next year? Because I want to get your opinion, and then I'll do my opinion, and we can see if you have any thoughts on it.
Well, to me, a big deal is where this plan of his starts out.
It seems like January 18th between either Gaethje or Donald Cerrone.
And it's in my opinion, it's probably going to be Cowboy.
That's what it seems like from reading online. Yeah.
Yeah.
But here's the thing, though. Kind of similar to like the Kevin Lee situation we were talking about earlier, right? About how like whatever you've been going through, when you come back, you should try to take an easier fight.
Right.
I'm gonna sound like a hypocrite because by that nature, the fight that makes the most sense is to take Cowboy.
Mm-hmm.
But this is Conor that we're talking about,
Right.
not just any other fighter.
Right.
So I feel like in order for this to be what it should be, he should fight Justin.
Right.
However, I favor Justin in that fight, so it's kind of problematic.
Right.
Right. However, fuck it. If they do it against Cowboy, it'll probably be promoted a lot better.
Yeah.
And Cowboy deserves a fat ass paycheck.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the only reason why I'd be cool with that fight. Otherwise, just from like a pure fighting perspective, I'd rather see him fight Justin.
For sure.
And if he can get past Justin, then I'm like, all right, great. Now he's on a trajectory to really make something special this year. But we'll see. So the plan is either Cowboy or Justin, and then after that, he wants to do Khabib, right?
No. He said his second fight, he wants to fight the winner between Masvidal and Nate Diaz.
That's right.
For the BMF title.
That's right. And then the winner of.
And then the winner between, he said Tony or Khabib.
Yeah.
In Moscow.
Right.
So this is my thing. When we keep talking about Conor, the thing I need to see from Conor is that focus again.
Yeah.
Because that's what was lacking for me in his last fight and why he got demolished.
Yeah.
He didn't have that motivation again.
Right.
I saw it when I saw this press conference.
Right.
I can see how much it pissed him off that Dana White said Khabib's the guy now and you're not.
Yeah.
I can see in his eyes when he was talking about how focused he is again.
Right.
And he said he's not drinking anymore. He's not, paying attention to all this nonsense. Like, he's focused now.
Right.
And that's what I needed to see in order for me to have my confidence in this guy again.
Right.
And I see that now.
Right.
And I feel very good about Conor now coming because I feel like me and you talked about it. Conor's not regarded as one of the greatest of all time. He had one great run and then he kind of went away.
Right.
And me and you agreed if he goes back on a run again and then beats Khabib, you can't deny the guy.
He's the GOAT.
Yeah, you can't deny of him being in that discussion of being the greatest of all time.
Right. Because
if you look at his
like
resume, Max Holloway, who else did he beat? Jose Aldo, Chad Mendes, Dustin Poirier, right? Like, he's beat some pretty big name guys.
Yeah.
Now you can make an argument that was long ago,
right?
But he did still beat him.
Yeah.
And so I feel like we needed to see another run again for him to be solidified as one of the GOATs.
Yes.
One of the GOATs.
Right.
I'm not gonna say he is a GOAT because there's so many great fighters that we've seen.
That's an argument that's just never gonna.
For sure, no. But I'm just saying, like, we needed to see that hunger again.
Yeah. That
I did not see from the last 2 years.
Right.
And when I watch him and hear him speak, I feel that hunger again.
Okay.
Like, he feels so doubted again. He feels so slighted. He's not the guy anymore, and it seems like it really pissed him off.
Right.
I feel like now he's back in the gym. All distractions gone. He wants to prove people wrong again.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that's why he laid out his plan, and that's reassuring for me.
Yeah.
As a Conor fan.
Right.
So, honestly, what do you think?
Yeah. Go ahead.
I like his plan.
Okay.
But I don't think it's gonna go well for him.
Yeah, well,
I think the first fight would go well for him.
Yeah.
The second fight, although whichever one, Diaz or Masvidal, which I think it'll most likely be Masvidal. I don't see Conor winning that fight.
Yeah. Okay.
I really don't. And if he does, Ferguson or Khabib.
Khabib, that's what he said.
I don't see him winning either of those either. You know, so.
I mean, what do you think?
It's
tough fights for sure.
Yeah. We'd also have to mention the fact that he'd be flip flopping weights, which I mean, not necessarily that he's had trouble in the past.
Yeah.
But I mean, it's not an ideal situation to fight in like January at like 155,
and then go up to 170,
and then go up to 170.
Yeah.
And none of these are easy fights.
No.
So he's presumably going to be taking some damage in these fights.
Right.
Yeah.
Overall,
especially against like Masvidal or Diaz.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, overall, I'm excited that he's back.
Yeah, no, for sure.
And I'm excited that he seems focused again, like the old Conor.
Yes, here's the thing. Out of all of that stuff, the stuff that excites me the most is that he seems ready to enter the mix again and be an active fighter.
Yes.
Right? So someone that we can continuously talk about, right? Because like you and I have had that argument about whether he deserves to be on the pound for pound rankings right now or whatever because of his inactivity. That argument completely out the window. Conor's now an active fighter. Right?
I agree. Okay.
My concern though is all this legal trouble stuff now, right? Which has been going on for a year plus, and it hasn't really bothered me since, right? Because I'm like, you know, there's all kinds of stuff that could be at play. We don't really know what happened. We don't know all the details. We don't know all the facts. He doesn't seem concerned, so I didn't really seem concerned, right? I was like, all right, whatever. But there's been some stuff going on within the last couple of days,
right,
that have been coming out that more and more are starting to make this look like a pretty dark situation for Conor. And I'll be honest, it's now finally starting to become a bit concerning. So there's all this talk about like how he got accused of rape, right? Which, and I got to be really sensitive about this topic right now because we're post the Me Too movement and all that stuff. Yeah. Right. So when I heard stuff like that, it's not like Conor raping somebody was like out of the realm of possibility, right? But I looked at it and went, okay, there's also a reasonable. It's reasonable to think that somebody might be trying to extort him or use him or whatever, or maybe the situation really did go down, but afterwards they're trying to paint it in a different way. You know what I mean? So all that being said, that's why I was like, all right, I'm going to hold back. I'm going to wait until more stuff comes out to really form an opinion. It seems now like because of Irish law, right, they're not allowed to name the person that's being investigated. But it's been pretty obvious that it's been Conor for some time. Well, as of recently, there was an actual document that was leaked from the Irish law enforcement agencies, and it actually made it all the way to the New York Post or the New York Times or whatever it was. And on the police report, it shows that it is in fact Conor McGregor that's being investigated, right? Apart from that, there's now details coming out that he's been already interrogated by police, and he admitted to having sex with at least one of these women, right? So we know that for sure he at least had sex with one of these women, right? So at that point, the theory of like, well, maybe this was consensual and this chick is now trying to extort him or whatever. The thing that takes that out for me is that this woman in particular, who Conor admitted to having sex with, was checked out by police and by medical personnel at an actual rape facility, like a place where they take people specifically for sexual assault. And it was determined that she had injuries that were consistent with rape. That is not good at all. And that's just one situation. Now, it's also come out, and this isn't a secret anymore. This is public knowledge. You can actually just Google this now. That he's already made an offer to this woman of like $1 million in change, and she rejected it. All of these things do not look good at all. So it is concerning. Who knows what happens? Because like that's some serious shit. Like punching the old man in the face, that's morally bankrupt, and it's a horrible fucking thing. And he lost a lot of followers, a lot of respect for that. But at the end of the day, he just punched an old dude in the face, right? Like, okay, he punched an old dude in the face, right? Like, okay, he fucking took that guy's cell phone and threw it down and like broke it or whatever. Yeah, that was childish. It was foolish. It was reckless. But it was just some dude's phone. You know what I mean? This is serious shit now. Yeah, this is really serious shit.
We just have to wait and see how this all plays out.
Yeah,
as far as the law in Ireland.
Now, if you have to ask me how I think it's going to play out, I think it's going to play out in a really awful way, because I don't think that Conor is going to face any jail time, unfortunately, just because the way that like rape charges work and shit in Ireland apparently is really complicated. Like some rape charges, like if you accuse somebody of rape, it can take up to 5 years to take them to court, right? Conor, with the amount of power and money he has, I'm sure he could probably make that go even longer if he wanted to. And also, I don't remember exactly what the percentage was, but people that get accused and convicted of rape, the amount of people that like actually serve jail time is fairly low. So I don't think that Conor ends up in prison. But if it comes out that like it's undeniable that this situation actually happened and Conor still didn't go to jail, then at that point we got an ugly situation, because there's people that complain about all kinds of things that people do that they got away with and they continue to fight, right? Like John Jones, for example, who gets away with all these PEDs and he got into that car accident, like all this shit, right? And they continue to fight, and there's all this. People will not shut the fuck up about that. About like, look at all this stuff that John Jones did, and he's still allowed to fight, and he's still whatever, right? If it's this situation and with Conor, it's gonna be that situation on steroids, where we're gonna have a person who we know for sure raped somebody, absolutely 100% raped somebody, and they're still allowed to be out there and fighting.
Definitely not gonna look good for the UFC.
No, not at all for anybody involved. Yeah.
Yeah, we're just gonna have to wait and see how it all plays out.
Yeah,
because I feel like it's still in the early stages, right?
Well, the early stages was a year ago, so we're pretty deep into it now.
But
especially with that leak,
has he been convicted?
No, but that's what I was talking about earlier. Is that like even if he is convicted, he could get away with it still.
Right.
You know.
So we just gotta wait and see what ends up happening.
Yeah, kind of shitty. But let's wrap this up with talking about the other interesting thing going on, non-UFC, non-MMA related on Saturday. Canelo versus Kovalev. Jesus. So here's the thing. Speaking of PEDs, it kind of bums me out that Canelo has this blemish on his record of having some sort of PED situation go on. Because if it wasn't for that, I mean, undeniably and unarguably, he's got one of the best boxing careers of all time. His one loss is to Floyd Mayweather. And you look at the fights that he has, look at all the other fights, and look at the people that he's faced and the people that he's beat in all the different weight classes that he's been in, and all like before the age of 30. It's just remarkable. It's incredible. And now you have this situation where he's fucking going up bro, Canelo at one point fought professionally at 147.
I know, that's crazy.
And this fight's at 175.
Yeah. Massive. It's crazy to see him jump weight like that.
Yeah.
So confidently.
It's very crazy.
I don't really have much background on the guy he's fighting.
He's a beast.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't like Canelo's chances in this fight.
You think he's losing this fight?
I think he's losing this fight.
So here's pretty much the only thing that Canelo has going for him, right? Because like, it's a significant size difference.
Yeah.
The things that Canelo has going for him is that Kovalev seems to be declining just a little bit. He's a little bit older and he's a little bit later in his career. And in his last fight, he was in trouble. And that it seems to be that his weakness seems to be body shots.
Yeah,
and Canelo has fucking vicious body shots.
Yes, he does.
Canelo has vicious body shots.
Yes, he does.
But he's fighting several weight classes higher than he's normally used to, and a much bigger guy. So, I don't know, man. It's interesting. But to me, it's almost kind of a win-win for Canelo. Because if he wins, then like, look at this, some just other gigantic accomplishment to add to his record. And if he loses, it's like, all right, well, it's only the second guy he's ever lost to, and it's against a really good guy, and it's against a really good guy who's way fucking bigger than him.
Yeah. So how you see this fight playing out then?
Oh fuck, I don't know. I think I'm gonna.
I'm still gonna lean towards Canelo based on pure boxing skill.
Yeah, man, Canelo's boxing skill is phenomenal.
His head movement is incredible.
And his footwork. And
his footwork is crazy. His hand speed is crazy. I'm just based off that. I'm just gonna lean on Canelo.
There are some things that he just doesn't like, that he does during a fight that just doesn't make sense to me. Like there have been multiple instances in his fights where he would just put his back up on the ropes and then just put himself like in a bad position.
It's weird, and he still lands punches, and he's still gaining points on the scorecard. Yeah, which is interesting, right? I don't know what it is. Him and Floyd Mayweather have this technique where they think about it in a 12-round distance, right? And they just do things that still gain him points.
He learned. I mean, it's obvious, right? But I mean, logically speaking, you could deduce this, but just watching him and like how much he's improved, he learned a lot from that Floyd Mayweather fight.
Yeah, absolutely has.
His defense has looked a lot more Mayweather-ish.
Yes, it does. I've noticed that.
I'm sure he realized
he kind of reminds me of Mayweather at certain times.
Yeah,
it's weird. It's weird. You know, he's become this counter puncher to me.
By the way, just side note. Did you hear who Conor McGregor believes is the number 1 pound for pound fighter on earth right now? Boxer.
Tyson Fury?
Vasily Lomachenko.
Oh.
Yes. That's all I'm gonna say.
Yeah. No, I can see that.
I've been raving about this dude.
You have.
And Michael keeps going like, all right, whatever.
Have you seen him fight?
No.
So
but
now
I'm still gonna say Canelo's the number 1 pound.
Now that the word has come from your
if
idol.
Canelo beats this guy, then will you say Canelo's still the number 1 pound for pound?
Well,
the fact that he's going up 2 weight divisions, because that to me explains what a pound for pound is.
Yeah. Well, kind of. The idea behind pound for pound is that realistically speaking, if both of these people were the exact same size, how would it go?
Well, what about the opponents that Canelo's beaten compared to opponents that Lomachenko has beaten?
That is a very fair point because Canelo's fought a lot of really high-level competition.
High-profile guys.
Yes, he has.
He's fought who's that?
Vasily
that Puerto Rican boxer.
Cotto?
Yes, Miguel Cotto. He's beaten Triple G, whether you want to agree with those wins or not.
And it's true. Vasily has got less than 20 professional fights, right? But we're just talking about like the eye test. You just watch this dude. Just watch what he does and how he does it, and it's fucking incredible.
Okay.
Yeah, but I think, I think it would be a toss-up between those two, though. Okay. Canelo and Vasily.
I feel like if Canelo gets out a W this weekend, he might be regarded as one of the best.
Yeah, man, too bad we'll never see that fight.
Because then, like, how many belts has he won in different weight divisions?
I think 4.
You know,
he started at welterweight, and then he went to light, like junior middleweight, and then he went to middleweight.
And now he's going to what is it, light heavyweight?
Light heavyweight, yeah.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll see what happens. I'm still gonna lean on Canelo winning that decision on this one.
It'll be interesting.
You guys agree? I know you don't agree, but you agree?
Oh man.
I said I don't like his chances.
No, okay, fair enough.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I can't pick one.
No, bullshit, man. You gotta pick one.
All right, fine.
Gun to your head, pick one.
Canelo.
Okay.
I'd have to say Canelo
close
as well.
fight. I think, I agree with you guys. It'll be a close fight. But I'm still gonna stick with the.
Although
what was his nickname?
If Canelo ends up getting TKO'd, I'm gonna be like,
I don't see him getting knocked out. Do you guys?
Fucking of course. Like Jesus.
Do you guys see him getting knocked out?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah.
No.
I don't see him getting knocked out.
No.
We'll see, man. Exciting.
Did you guys hear that Tyson Fury, the possibility of him making a switch to MMA
that's
and Conor McGregor?
Yeah, I read that last night.
Yeah.
Interesting.
God, I hope Tyson's not kidding.
He's a big guy, though.
I'd love to see him at least in like some sort of exhibition MMA match or something.
Yeah.
You know, like get him in there with like a
not what Mayweather did.
No. None of this fucking
man,
in the octagon, but boxing rules. No,
that was
like,
stupid. Yeah.
No kicking, no whatever.
Yeah.
Which Tyson Fury is like 6'7". That's a lot. That's a big target for leg kicks.
Big guy.
It's a big target for leg kicks. You can close your eyes and land on his fucking shin.
Yeah. I think he should focus on running that back with Deontay. Wilder.
Yeah. Isn't Deontay Wilder supposed to fight Luis Ortiz sometime soon?
He is in 2-3 weeks. I want to say.
Yeah.
And then we got Anthony Joshua and Andy Ruiz.
Golly. So we were discussing this also.
Fight.
That when Andy Ruiz beat AJ, we were like, well, fuck. Like, Andy just, like, kind of ruined everything because it seemed like there was this perfect love triangle between AJ, Fury, and Wilder. And I was like, and here comes fucking Andy and just throws a wrench into this whole fucking thing. Right? And that was our initial reaction. And then we started talking about it, and we're like, wait a minute. If anything, this makes it even better because you have now 2 rematches that are going on. You have Deontay Wilder and Fury 2, and you have Ruiz and Joshua 2. Right. And there could not be a more clear-cut way to like set up a fight.
Yeah,
right. The winner of these 2 rematches, boom.
Because basically, if Wilder wins against Fury, and then if Ruiz wins his fight against Joshua, then they can basically unify all their belts.
Shit, what a
to see
fight
who there really
is.
The true pound for pound king or the heavyweight fighter. Yeah.
Yep. That's about it.
That's it. That's all I got. What do you got?
Sick.
That's it.
That's it.
Let's wrap it up.
All right.
Let's wrap it up.
I think that's going to do it for us today or for this week.
But before we sign off, I'd just like to thank you guys for
inviting
me. This was quite the experience.
Like
First
it?
podcast I've ever been
There
on.
you go.
Hell yeah.
Hopefully it's not my last.
Nope.
No, I was going to say maybe we should have him on for UFC 245.
Yeah, we could do that.
Oh,
Absolutely.
that would be awesome.
That's going to be another big card.
So, again, I really appreciate this.
Yes.
You guys are great. Thank you so much.
Thanks for coming.
me.
Yeah, absolutely.
We will tag his social media on our description in case you guys want to follow Mark.
There you go.
Oh, thanks.
He tends to go to a lot of concerts, so if you guys are into that, there you go.
Hell yeah.
Ladies.
I know, right?
So yeah, let us know what you
Wrap
guys
it
thought about this week. Anything that we might have missed, or anything that you guys just want to hear some extra thoughts on, and we'll catch you guys next week.
All right.
Have a good
Fuck
one.
you, Manny.